All right, so we are going to work at putting together the assets, starting to put together the assets of our digital animation through GIFs in Photoshop today. And it has to be informed by our sketch. And I asked for a 9-panel sketch in a default square format that then that should do a few things. It should showcase something we've created so far. So either our creature, our fantasy landscape, or our cloud, or all three, or any combination. And it needs to showcase some sort of change, some sort of evolution. So it can't just be a movement test. It can't just be a ball spinning or a character opening and closing its mouth. It needs to actually showcase a transition or a change, a metamorphosis, something like that. So in this sketch, you have the character kind of moving and starting a power blast from their mouth. And then the blast comes out, and then smoke rises up and overtakes the whole scene, and then it resets. The setting is outer space. So then what that student had to do is figure out how are they going to create these different frames. What assets do they need? They need, obviously, their character layers, and then they would need to maybe design different wing layers and head layers to make the head move, the arms move. And then they would have to build these blast layers and then composite in a lot of smokes. This is the ultimate compositing project, and it kind of ends our compositing assignments for the class. And this tells the story, and it matches the sketch pretty well. But when we animate it, we might even add more frames in. And sometimes you can see a lot more in the movement of the actual GIF animation than just in the storyboard. But the storyboard will be high enough resolution that we can print, and this is a good thing to put into your print portfolio. Whereas the actual animated file will be limited in color to a maximum of 256 and just can't be that huge and still run appropriately. Same thing here. This is just the appearance of a creature through the landscape, but you have this transformation of the weather, of the snow coming in with these clouds. So we have to think of something transformative. All right, how do we get started? Well, I did my sketch in the last demo. Here's that sketch. And I'm just going to keep it open in the corner here. I wanted you to remember that there are 3 things needed to tell a story. So you need to define what your character is. My character is going to be my fantasy creature composite, the kind of rock crab creature. You need to define your setting. So my setting is going to be my desert landscape. But the setting needs to be understood even if you leave it blank. There are some student examples where there's nothing in the setting, but grass grows and flowers grow, and that tells you you're outside. So think about what the setting is and how a character, which is anything that changes throughout the story, how that interacts with the setting. And the setting itself can be the character, you know, the clouds that change and turn to storm clouds. And then the third thing you need for it to be a story is the illusion of time passing, and we do it through sequential images. And remember, when you jump over from one storyboard to the other, time is passing, even if it's just milliseconds. That's kind of the way we can read the storyboard, like a comic book, from left to right, from top to bottom. Okay, now, how do we get started? Well, these become what are called keyframes. We'll probably animate more frames than what's shown here. But this tells us the important action. It communicates the essentials to us. So the first thing I want to do is figure out the assets I need for this very first keyframe, which is the establishing shot of the desert with my character already sunken into his rock. So what do? I have to start building assets. And so what I'm going to do is go to my assignment folders, and I'm going to go all the way back to assignment 1. And we've worked on these assignments quite a while, and go to my large PSD file. And I think this was my resubmission file. Yes, so this is the one I'm happiest with. So I'll open that up. And this is my landscape. And I have to decide, okay, what do I want to use from here? And I'm thinking I don't want to use all of it for most of the animation, because it's going to be in a square format. But I'm going to use some of it. And what do I need? So let me see. There might be certain assets I want. So I'm thinking I'm going to make a copy of that rock and put it above everything. So this asset right there. That will be useful. And then this one is pretty useful. This map of the rock on top. And then some of these texture fills are very useful. I'm going to move that up above. What am I doing? Where is the texture fill? Lost it. Yeah, so that will be helpful. And remember, I don't need it to be beautifully full resolution for my GIF animation, because we're going to print them smaller and we're going to animate them smaller. And then ultimately, everything else I want to flatten. So those assets that I pulled out separate from everything else, I want to turn those off. I want to go to my very top layer. And I want to say layer merge visible. Okay. And that flattened everything, all those individual landscape layers, into one layer right there. And I have my separate assets on top. Okay. Then I have in this other folder my creature assets. And I have his shadows. Have all this stuff. I don't really need most of it. But I definitely need the creature. Okay, so let me make a duplicate of that, Command J, then move that up above as an asset. And then just turn this off. These are all my shadows and more textures and things. Actually, I can go ahead and move these out as well. These different textures. These different shadows. They might be useful. I'm not going to use this night at all, so let me just delete that. And then the sky, that's a nice asset I can use. The darkening sky, the textured sky, makes it more bright. And I don't need my sketch. Okay, so now I have a lot of different assets here. I might decide to label them. I'm definitely going to label my creature. I think I can merge some of these, like the creature's shadow. I can select multiple layers and hit Command D. And I'll call that creature shadow. This is the ultimate in compositing because you really have to understand what's going on. Now this overlay layer, let me see if I merge it with my creature layer. Nope, that's not going to work. So this overlay layer I'm just going to put on top of everything. And maybe it will be interesting. I'll call it my overlay shadow. That's something I can dodge and burn on. This is some middle ground mist. So I'll call it middle mist. This is the upper sky, upper clouds. This is foreground rock. Actually, this is big rock. But my problem with the big rock is I only need this part. I don't really need this. So let me cut around it a little bit. So if I turn off every other layer so you can see what I'm talking about, I don't need all this other stuff from this element. I just need the rock itself if I want to use it. And I'm not trying to do super refined selections. We're doing kind of a puppet show here. Stick figures. Now this rock, let me cut that out a little bit better. All right. And then I've got a foreground dust. So I'm building assets. And this is just labeling what I already have. So this way I can move my creature in front of the big rock, but behind the foreground rock. And it's like building a set, a little play. You can turn on the middle mist and the upper clouds, and then finally I put the backdrop down. And that kind of constructs my scene. Now if I put my creature on top of the foreground rock, then he's up on top. But that's not what I'm interested in here. I'm interested in making my creature match my story. So now I've got a lot of these elements. Now I'm going to save this file. File, save as. Carl Fry assignment 5. Animation assets. Save it to the desktop. This is my animation toolbox. Okay? So within this, I've got all the tools I need to start moving my character around this landscape. Because I can just pick them up. Oops. Turn off that overlay layer. Just pick them up and kind of move them around and animate them. Woo, fun. But the reason I did a sketch first is I want to have a plan. And for my idea, I think what I want to do is take all of these layers that are related to my creature. So the creature shadow, the overlay shadow, and the creature itself. And I want to transform them and flip them horizontally. Okay? Because I want the creature to be on this end. So I'm preparing my assets a little bit. And what's great about moving the shadow with him is you see that it's all there. It's all underneath the claw. It all works. Okay. Now there's a next component I need to make. And that is the stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the image size of my assets. And because I'm using my landscape, it's pretty big. And its height is 6.431 inches by a resolution of 350. So what I need to do is I need to make a new file that is 6.431 inches tall by 6.431 inches wide. So it's a square by 350 resolution. So I have to remember 6.431. So I go to File, New, and the width is going to be 6.431. The height is going to be 6.431. The resolution is going to be 350. And this is going to be called Carl Fry, Assignment 5, animation stage.